Some thoughts on Habbakuk and chapter 2 and verses 15 through to 20. We're dealing here with the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans had been used by God for the disciplining of his people, Judah, but they were still responsible for the very actions that God had sovereignly used in disciplining his people. And so we are learning here of the whole issue of personal responsibility. God is sovereign, but we are responsible for our actions. God is sovereign and he moves to perform all according to his will, but people are still responsible for actions which are wicked and evil before him, even though he uses them sovereignly to bring forth his purposes. So we'll see here two things. Firstly, we'll see the indulgence of the people of Chaldea. The indulgence focuses on drunkenness. Now, drunkenness is a condition whereby somebody is inebriated, has lost self-control through intoxication, and there is a dehumanizing which characterizes drunkenness, because self-restraint is removed. And so we'll see the woe that comes, those who make their neighbors drink. Pour out your wrath and make them drunk in order to gaze at their nakedness. There's a whole flow of activity which comes from drunkenness, the aspects of other aspects of immorality. And so they will taste shame and not glory. Verse 16. And they will prove themselves to be not of the people of God. If you are given to drink, you are given to drunkenness, you can make no claim to be of the people of God. Show the uncircumcision. And there's a cup which will come from the Lord, and they will have the cup of the Lord's judgment as they've gone into the way of sin. The violence done to Lebanon will overwhelm you in verse 17, as will the destruction of the beasts that terrified them. For the blood of man and violence to the earth, to cities and all who fled in them. A catastrophic end for all who go in the way of sin. No nation will stand when it embraces the ways of sin and rejects the way of God. That is the testimony of history, and that is the warning of the current state of affairs, even in our own nation, in the United Kingdom, and in other Western nations at this present time. God has a day of reckoning. He has a cup of his judgment in his right hand. And so that's the peril of indulgence, indulging ourselves without reference to God. And then in verses 18 and 19 we have the peril of idolatry. There's the mockery here of the whole process of idolatry, setting up those things to rely upon them, but you made them. Prophet is an idol, verse 18, when its maker has shaped it, a metal image, a teacher of lies. For its maker trusts in its own creation, in his own creation, when he makes speechless idols. These cannot speak, they cannot guide, they cannot be the means of us entering a fruitful relationship. These are the propagators of lies. They promise that we will have fulfillment through our devotion to them, but they deliver none of it. Oh, how many idols Our hearts create idols. Idols are those things which are erected, even whether they be philosophies, interests, peoples, or whatever. They are erected in the place where God should be. They are erected to direct us and to be the source of and be the focus of devotion, wherever only God should direct us and be the focus of our devotion. Oh, the peril, the lies of following all of these ways which are not of God. Idolatry is foolishness. And so woe to him, verse 19 says to a wooden thing, awake, to a silent stone, arise. They're just overlaid with gold and silver. They may look pretty, they may look attractive, but there's no breath at all in it. There's no life. We need to trust in the living God, the one who is the source of life, the one who is the source of all that is good. Away with all idolatry. And finally then in verse 21, but the Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Oh, you can argue as much as you want to by saying, well, God should not be using those who have evil actions. But God is sovereign over all, working out his processes and purposes. And the people who go in the way of sin have to face the consequences. Indulgence and idolatry, we've seen in these two passages, are catastrophic for any people. And so we need to be warned. And so that's some thoughts on Habbakuk in chapter 2 and verses 15 through to 20. Thank you.